Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jamie and this is Jamieology. Today we're going to be talking about a recent accomplishment in my life, which was graduating college with a 4.0 GPA. I want to share my tips and tricks with you guys about how I did that and how you can achieve that as well in your own lives. So let's get right into it. Alright, so before we get into my tips and tricks on how I got a 4.0 GPA, I just want to put a disclaimer out there that GPA is not everything in college. You can have a much lower GPA, you can have extracurricular activities, you can have internships, and all of these different opportunities that get you good jobs and get you into grad school. So do not think just because I'm making this video that 4.0 GPA means the world. It definitely doesn't. But I just wanted to share all of these tips with you to show you how you can either improve your GPA if you're struggling in college or achieve that 4.0 if that is a goal for you. Okay, so yes, I did get a 4.0 GPA in college. Yay! Woohoo! Yes. Thank you. So how did I get a 4.0 GPA in college, and how did I do that while juggling all of these other things like extracurriculars, internships, activities, spending time with people I care about, all of that? That is a great question, and I will be answering that in this video. So I can't give you some magic trick or some spell that you can cast to just magically get a 4.0 GPA in college, but I can tell you what worked for me and what will hopefully work for you in getting to that goal. Before we get into our tips, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me grow this channel and keep creating content for you guys. Alright, so with that, let's get into these tips. My first two tips have to do with creating a successful schedule. In college, schedule can mean a lot. In college, a schedule can mean a lot for how successful you can be throughout your day. And sometimes you have more control over your schedule, sometimes you have less control over your schedule, but you always have something that you can do to improve the way that your schedule is set up. When it comes to the time of year where you get to create your school schedule, sometimes you'll have a choice between one professor or another professor because they teach the same class that you need. So something you can do is use a tool called ratemyprofessors.com. And I know sometimes the reviews on there are not always the best because there's angry students who just wanted an easy A, or there's students that particularly didn't like that professor. So take everything on there with a grain of salt. But if you are choosing between one professor and another professor, going on there and seeing what other students have said about that professor or the specific class that they teach is a good way to figure out, okay, is this a note-heavy class? Is the teacher gonna do pop quizzes? Is the teacher gonna make me read out of a textbook, and I don't like reading it out of a textbook? So looking on there and seeing, what is this class going to look like can be really helpful to both preparing for the semester and deciding which professor you actually want to choose for that class. Even if you are stuck with one professor teaching that class, there's no other professors that teach it, it can be really beneficial to still go on there and look at what students are saying. Again, just to prepare yourself for what that class is going to look like so that you know what you're getting into when the semester actually starts. Alright, so my second tip for creating a successful schedule for college is to sign up for classes as soon as possible. Most colleges will give you a date and a time that you can hit that register button, and you want to be the first one pressing that button because typically there's a bunch of other students that have that same date and time as you, and the faster you can press that button, the more likely you are to get into the classes that you want without them filling up on you. And when they fill up on you, it can be really stressful. You have to find other classes to fill that spot. You might miss out on a class that you really need for graduation or to advance in your major. Make sure you are pressing that button at that moment. I cannot stress that enough. So when you are planning your schedule and you're looking at the days and times that you can have classes, it's really important that you look at what times of the days you are most awake, what time of the day you are able to focus on homework the best, what time of day you are not going to fall asleep in class because you stayed up the night before. Knowing yourself and knowing what your sleep schedule is like, what your class schedule ideally would look like, is really helpful when you're setting up that schedule to make it optimized for who you are as a person. For me, having classes back to back to back to back would be really difficult because I like to have that break where I can just breathe for a second, get my thoughts together, because you have a lot of different classes throughout the day. They're not all on the same subject, so having that break to switch from one subject to the other is really beneficial. And make sure that you're planning time to eat meals, because as college students we can get really busy and we forget to eat, and that's not good for us. So make sure that you are planning time to eat. Okay, so you have a successful schedule. Now we're in the swing of things, we're in the semester. And now we have to think about what our homework and studying success is gonna look like. So I highly recommend when you are in your classes, you take handwritten notes. I know it's more common now to be typing your notes. You think that you can get a lot more written down when you're listening to the professor. I get it, but handwriting notes has been shown in research to just be so much more beneficial to your ability to retain information. When we're handwriting notes, we're forced to summarize the information rather than writing verbatim, and that's how it sticks in our heads better and takes a lot of time away from studying later because it's already formed in our head. We just need to remind ourselves of it. My second tip for studying and homework success is to time block your homework and school schedule. So what this means is designating specific times of the day, blocking off when you are going to do each specific thing. So maybe you have class from 8 to 9 and you have a break from 9 to 10. So during that 9 to 10 time, you're gonna do the homework assignment that you got in that previous class. And then you're gonna go to that next class, and then you're gonna have lunch and take a break. And then you're gonna do 2 hours of writing an essay that you have. So blocking off the time specifically with what you need to do during that time can be really beneficial, because then you know that you have the time to get those things done, and it prevents you from actually procrastinating and not doing those things because you're like, well, I don't have enough time in the day. When you time block, it shows you do have enough time in the day, as long as you're using your time wisely and you're able to get that stuff done in the time that you set aside for it. All right, so we've gotten our schedule set up, we are studying, we're doing our homework, we're getting everything done on time, we're getting things done ahead of time, which is incredible. Now we need to make some connections on campus, because connections are a great way to get help when you need it, meet people that are in your same major that can give you advice about your major, a great way just to make connections that you can use in the future for applications and interviews. The first connection you need to make is with your professors. It can be scary interacting with your professors and asking them questions. I know I had a hard time doing it at first too, but it's extremely beneficial when you can go up to your professor and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this part of an assignment or this part of the material, and I could really use some help. Can you meet me during your office hours and talk about this? And now you've established a connection. And now that professor is somebody that you can go talk to when you need help, somebody that would probably be willing to write you a letter of recommendation for either grad school or a job or be a reference. And that's so insanely important. So make sure that you are talking to your professors and making those connections, because they are invaluable in the future. The second connection that you need to make is with students in your classes. The first day of class, you should talk to the person next to you, say hey, introduce yourself, and exchange contact information, because that person will be your lifeline for that class. Meaning you can go to them whenever you need assignment help. If you were sick and had to miss a day of class, you can find out what happened and what information and get the notes from them. And that is so important because pretty much every semester you're gonna get sick at least once. And with COVID right now, it's more likely than ever. So take that time, introduce yourself, and establish that connection. The third connection you need to make on college campuses is in organizations. I loved being in organizations. I think it's the best way to meet people that have the same interests as you, the same passions as you, and just to have fun while you're on campus. It's a great way to meet new friends that you can spend time with when you're not doing schoolwork, which is also super important for your mental health. Some organizations you can join can also be specifically for your major, which can be incredible for making, again, connections for later interviews and applications. It can be great for getting internship opportunities or just volunteer opportunities that, again, can look amazing on a resume when you're going into your career field later on. And I know if you are striving for a 4.0 GPA, it can seem counterintuitive to add more onto your schedule and bring on more work potentially that you need to do. But again, as I said in the beginning of this video, a 4.0 GPA is not everything, and you do need other things to support and show that you are a hard worker and that you really get involved and love to do other things besides school. Alright, so those are my tips for getting a 4.0 GPA in college. I have a lot more tips that I would love to share with you in a future video. If you would like to see that, please leave a comment below. But thank you for watching. I hope some of these tips helped you out. And please, again, hit that like and subscribe button to support my channel and help me bring content to more and more people. Thank you so much, and see you later.